Hello, folks. Welcome to Conversations for Our Time, podcast number 18. This is the Quiet Sun team, George and John, and today we are going to be following our mini-series on regenerative permaculture, but I think we should now call it regenerative living. So this is actually podcast 8 of the mini-series, and today we're going to mix it up a little bit. As you can probably hear, the intro is actually from me, John, and not George. And as last time, we promised that we would switch roles, and I'm going to be interviewing George. So I hope everyone out there is good. And we were just talking before we started the recording just about how each of us are on this particular mission, this individual mission, and this is really important for transforming our karma. So I'm into the whole permaculture thing, and I've recently started to look into biodynamics, and it's all about producing food. So today we're actually going to be talking about fasting. So George is our resident fast expert. I suppose we could say that, George. And he's been fasting for some time now. He'll fill you in on the details as we go through the interview. But it's just really important, because we need to understand how the body works, what the functions behind it are, how the body reacts with nutrition, how we can detoxify, how we can cleanse. And this is still a relationship to food. So I want to kind of set a bit of a connection here, because I've been studying biodynamics only for like the last week. I bought this amazing book, and in it talks about Rudolf Steiner, who's a very famous philosopher, and people have probably heard of Steiner schools, etc. But he created this thing called biodynamics, and it was about capturing the life force of the universe in a mass or organisms or something organic, and then releasing it out there. So I think this is kind of, George might be able to say something different, but I kind of think of like this whole fasting thing is you're still able to collect energy from the universe. So yeah, anyway, we'll get into it, but I just kind of like to set that as a bit of a precursor for what's to come. So George, how are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, John. We were just talking off air before. Life is really, really, really good. Spiritually, we're just so rich, and I definitely love my spiritual practices, and of course fasting is definitely as much spiritual that it is physical. And I've just, I think it's a great subject. It's one of my favourite subjects, if not the most favourite subject of mine. It goes hand in hand really with growing food, and for good health. It is by far the best medicine in the world, and we have everything already inside, any disease in the body, because we've known this for a long time. It's an ancient practice that has been used, since forever. And I love fasting, and I haven't been ill for years and years and years. Certainly not the last 3 years. So, I mean, the issue that we're facing today is, just and it's increasing a lot, and it goes back to the food people are eating, the wrong types of food. People are not eating clean food, and it always starts from the soil, as you know. So fasting, yeah, it's just going to go hand in hand with growing food. It has to.
Cool. Thanks, George. So tell me when you started fasting, and why? Like, what was the kind of motivation behind it?
I was just waking up probably about 2017 March. I was waking up for that sort of thing, that sort of time, and I started to know about our food, of how the chemicals and I didn't really know much about growing food then. I didn't really know much about permaculture and what was happening to the soil, but it was because of the food that we were eating and the big corporations that were selling to us. And it was like, okay, so let's stop, buying their stuff as much as possible and start buying organic as much as possible. But it's very well stopping all these things. But the chemicals that you've had all your life is still in your cells. So it's still accumulated all your life. So you still got to get rid of it. You've got to get rid of those chemicals in your cells. You've got to, the idea is to change your blood, change your cells, and just change your whole body. And I just wanted to get more healthy and healthier. And that is a combination with self-love, because you want to have a healthy body. You want to have, you want to put good things inside your body. And that's what the process was gradually self-love. Because the healthier body you have, the longer life that you will live. It's just as simple as that.
Cool.
And I started the fasting starting then, and then it sort of gradually got, certainly the last 3 years, I've gone into it more deeper.
Brilliant. So tell me about this whole changing of the blood then. What's that about?
So when you change, because all these chemicals are going into your body, and the longer fasting that you do, it will change your blood, because there is an inbuilt mechanism in your body, and it triggers a cleansing process that just clears out the cells and really cleanses the tissues as well. And you're getting new blood each time. Your body is regenerating all the time, and it's repairing each cell and each organs. They're all repairing. It's just with fasting, your that process of detoxifying is multiplied. You're just repairing constantly anyway, even when you're not eating food. But with fasting, quicken that process up. But with something like fasting, it's been sort of forgotten about over the years. And the ancients knew it. They knew how important it was. And now obviously the pharmaceuticals have come in and they don't advise about fasting. This is something that we have to figure out ourselves, because they're never going to recommend it. But it literally gets into every cell of the body, and we have, obviously, as you know, trillions of cells. Okay, and if you look at animals, when they're ill or they're wounded, their natural instincts to go is to stop eating, and they go to like a quiet place, and they just heal. They just know how to do it instinctively. But we humans, we put up a fight with this, right? But our natural instincts are that appetites drop drastically, but we want to continually put medicine in the body, and the body doesn't really want it. I'm not saying that place for some medicine, but the body doesn't really want it. It really knows how to heal. It's the most most intelligent self-built, inbuilt mechanism that there is in the whole world. And the life force within us knows exactly how to heal. We just have to, get out of the way, basically. And it is repairing, it's changing the blood all the time. It's changing the cells, and it's constantly repairing. But we slow it down because we think that we need to fix it. The body is much more intelligent than the brain.
Cool. Great info, man. So what can fasting help with? Like, you've mentioned about regenerating cells, cleansing the blood. So what do you know of, experiences, or maybe people you know of that have fasted? What was able to happen through that fasting process? How can we heal the body? Are there any particular diseases or anything like that it can help with?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'm going to go into the process of what the body goes into when we're actually fasting. I believe fasting can cure absolutely any disease in the world. There's a lot of people that say for every disease that you have, nature has a medicine for it, and it is very true. I don't doubt that. But we have everything that we need within our body. Now, if you think of when you cut yourself and there's blood coming out, but the body will naturally cut, and that's what it's always doing on the inside. It's constantly repairing itself. So we need to think about it in a different way. Fasting, first of all, doesn't mean that you're starving yourself, because if you have that kind of mentality, it's not the best mentality you have. You've got to have the correct mindset that you are doing it to heal your body. You don't have to do it because you've got a disease in the body. I'll do it anyway. But if you have a disease, the best thing for you to do in that moment is to fast. It is think of it as a healing. It's not healing, but it's a complete rest to the digestive system, because of all that energy, all the food we have too much, and we're giving it a rest, so the body can actually focus all that energy into healing it. And we eat for pleasure a lot of the time, and we overeat and we waste food, and food is a massive addiction. It's bigger than drugs, and we have to take our power back. But as I say, fasting is not just a physical process. It's very mental, emotional, spiritual process that cleanses and repairs and heals all aspects of ourselves. It really does bring us closer to the spirit world, or your own spirit. And interesting that you say about the life force as well, because that is, every time I've completed a long fast, I'm talking about 3 weeks or an intense fast. For example, I've just completed, last week I completed a 6 days hard dry fast, which is no food, no water. When you do an intense fast like that, you're connected to the life force more, because we get our energy from food and water, but really we should be getting it from the life force. And food can sometimes block the life force in your brain and in your body.
So George, tell me about your experience then of that 6-day hard dry fast. Have you done anything that length or intensity before?
I have done similar fasts before. I've done lots of various liquid fasts and hard dry fasts. I did a few years ago, I did 3.5 days, no food, no water. And it was intense. It was like having a hangover. But it gets easier each time you do it. So earlier this year, 4 days, no water. And I didn't really experience any detox symptoms at all. On this one, I did on day 3, had a little bit of a headache, but that could have been possibly because every now and again I get a bit of a headache because of 5G or too much radiation. But I generally didn't get any detox symptoms. So 6 days, no food, no water was the biggest dry fast that I've ever done. I've done 2 2-week water fasts. Earlier this year, 15-day water fast. And I've done up to a month of liquids like different herbs, water, juice, moss tea. But the first long fast that I did, you're going to find that you feel completely sluggish and you can really feel it. Like you just feel really hungover. It's easier each time you do it, and you're breaking. Then the body remembers where it picks up. With the last fast, but the body remembers, and it just gets easier and easier over time.
So that's brilliant, man. Great to kind of share those experiences. So for anyone out there that's kind of listening and considering doing a fast for the first time, what would you recommend? What would your guidelines be?
The first thing I would say is buy some books. There's a couple of good books that I will recommend. I mean, water fasting. You can. I haven't actually got a water fasting book myself, but I've read many articles. But I have got the Miracle Dry Fast, and I've got Man's Higher Consciousness. They're all about dry fasting. But there are many books. I would suggest get the books first, and just go to Amazon, type in fasting or fasting, dry fasting. All those books, just get any of them, and then you have a good understanding of what fasting is. Always speak to somebody who's more experienced, and that's what I suggest. And then actually doing it, you always must start small. Start with a 1-day water fast, and go into very slowly. So you might want to do a day or two of just smoothies and eat less. Just have a banana smoothie or an apple banana smoothie for a couple of days, and then you go into like a water fast, and then do it for 1 day, and then come out of the fast the same sort of way that you've gone into it. And then in a couple of weeks, you might want to increase it to 2 days and do exactly the same thing. And then a couple of weeks later, do 3 days. But always take it slow. There's no rush. You've got to be careful when it comes to fasting, because people, they're having a bit silly when they haven't prepared themselves. You can do some serious damage to yourself. And I'm going to be totally upfront and honest with regards to that, because I have a duty of care. But that's what I recommend doing first of all, really getting to know the process of what goes in your body, because as we've been talking about the soil, and then when it comes to fasting and in the body, there's a whole universe down there of wealth of information of what your body goes through. And we don't just want that, physical connection. We want that mental, emotional connection to everything that we're doing, because we can then understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. But that's what I totally recommend to do first.
Cool. Brilliant. Yeah, it's a lot to think about for people. And my question, if I was going into fasting, would be like, could I do it? Could I do, you mentioned like breaking yourself in gently. When would the best time to try it be? Would it be like just as options? Would it be like at the weekend when you're chilling out, or could you do it while you're at work? Like what would you advise is the best way to kind of ease yourself into it?
Yeah, I get asked that question quite a lot. I recommend, because I'm quite a seasoned faster, I can just up and go to work. I don't particularly like it, and because the ideal conditions is to be in nature. But if you've not done it before, I recommend starting on a Sunday. Just rest at home until you get used to fasting, and start off with one day. You want to rest because you might hit some detox symptoms, and you might get headaches. You might feel rough. You might feel a bit dizzy. Until you're really used to fasting, I would say just relax at home and just stay in bed, because what you're doing as well is, you're fighting the hunger pains, you're fighting your inner demons. It's a whole cleanse on a whole different level.
Yeah.
And you get hungry. You're going to get hangry, right? So everybody goes through different emotions, but you'll get to know yourself and you'll get to know what you need to heal. And
Yeah.
it all comes out, and you'll have a lot of, lot of, it's a mental battle. It's a battle of will. Some people may even actually be sick. Allow yourself to be sick. Allow whatever emotions to come up, but be at home, be safe. I wouldn't drive. I had someone on Facebook ask me, because I just announced that I did a 6-day hard dry fast, and they wanted to say, can I do this while I'm driving my bus? And I obviously said no. You've got to be really sensible about this, because it's a very, if you don't be sensible, you can end up really hurting yourself. But I recommend just staying at home, relaxing. If you've got a garden, you can sit in nature, because that's the most ideal surroundings for it.
Cool. And here's a bit of a challenging, not a challenging question, but so I think there's a lot in the health world where they're talking about real proper hydration. So I mean, what are your thoughts on keeping the body hydrated, and then compare that to how that might fit into doing like a dry fast or not drinking water for a few days? Is like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's an important question. Always people say to me, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing a dry fast. You need water. You need water." But what people sort of kind of forget is that we're made of 70% water, and so is the earth. So as above, so below. What happens when you're dry fasting is your pores open up on your skin, and also you will take the water from the air, and that will go into your body, and there's a filtration process with it. So we collect about 1 litre a day anyway. So you won't actually ever go dehydrated. You will feel dehydrated. It's because water fasting and dry fasting is very different. The body processes it differently. You will feel dehydrated on a dry fast because your body turns into a fire machine, starts burning up all the toxins in the body. That's why you feel dehydrated. So if you're going to do a dry fast, increase it slowly so your body gets used to having no food and no water one day. The next time do 2 days, the next time do 3 days. Because I did feel thirsty for 6 days. Other people who have dry fasted for 10, 11 days, so that thirst goes away. But there's a process of how the body takes water into the body, and you can't water. You just can't do. And then people say you shouldn't do it in the summer. Then people say you shouldn't do fasting at all in the winter. I do it any time of the people have this fear, and a lot of propaganda is based on, the diets that we eat. There's a lot of propaganda with fasting. You have to go and make your judgment. I would say, as long as you've got the knowledge and you speak to people and you take advice, Just be safe and you'll be absolutely fine. It's safe to do a fast at any time of the year, and it's perfectly safe to do any kinds of fast as long as you be sensible with it and take your time with it.
Cool. Thanks, George. I'd just like to add as well, the body is technically 90% water.
Yeah, probably
You've heard
more.
of EZ water, right? So the molecular structure. We have, waters are surrounding our cells. So, yeah, really good answer there. I like that. So, how has your life changed since you've been fasting? Like, what are the benefits that it's brought you?
Oh, cool. Where do you begin? I just feel so spiritually empowered. I just feel so, so much of my power. When you go without food for up to a month on just liquids and you feel so like you're the one in control. You beat your addictions, and food is such an addiction. It's like it plays with your pleasure center and with all the chemicals, and you are in your power. I don't have as much negative thoughts. That I'm such a positive person these days, whereas even when I first joined this so-called movement, I was really negative. Even a year and a half ago, I, was really not in a great place. But I went straight deep, even further into fasting, and it cleared your mental health. And then physically, that's going to show in your body. My skin is 90 up. I've had some skin issues in the past, and it's really cleared up a lot. It's not totally gone yet. And then, emotionally, you're battling your inner demons. And, I'm not really a big believer that demons really exist, but, you certainly have the fight with the ego, and that's what the demon is. And you're taming the ego. You're telling those inner demons not to take control over your life. And then spiritually, it's a year and a half ago, I just felt so disconnected from source. I felt disconnected from the universe, and I felt disconnected from nature. I felt disconnected from myself. But spiritually, now, since going into deep cleansing, I've never been more connected to the universe, the life force. It's probably one of the most practices I've done that's connected me to me. And it's changed my whole life. It will change your whole world. And it's like the universe has picked me up and put me somewhere else. But I put the work in, I'm always looking at something spiritual. I'm always looking to do the introspective work. It's very much a combination of many things that have brought me here today. Connecting to nature, growing food, fasting, understanding human consciousness. You are so empowered. We are such massive beings, and I've seen it within me using my pineal gland. And that's the other thing that I was going to mention is, of course, you and I don't have fluoride. We have fluoride-free toothpaste, and we don't drink tap water. So it's all very well stopping all of that, but we still have, at some level, a calcified pineal gland. Yeah. You've got to decalcify that pineal gland. It's not just, eating good, eating healthy, eating clean. Fasting decalcifies your pineal gland, okay? And water fasting is terrific. An orange juice cleanse is terrific. People do urine fasting. Urine is one of the best ways to decalcify the whole body, and that's including your pineal gland and everything in your body. But the number one fast is dry fasting, that will just decalcify and burn up everything in your body. And since I've been doing those kind of deep cleansing and fasting, everything becomes more clearer. I see the world for what it is. I see the world as allegories, and you won't be able to see that without decalcifying your pineal gland. You won't be able to see that without connecting to nature and growing food. All of it has its place, and you know it really does connect you with that pineal gland, and you'll start to see yourself. You start to do more introspective work. You really want to go in, as you know, John. This is what you're doing as well. You work with nature. You work with growing food. You do the introspective work. You're a very spiritual person. You love your Buddhism. I love my natural law. It just really connects you to the spirit world, and you'll get these messages and these allegories in life, and they will all just come to you, and you'll have synchronicities all the time, and I know that you do as well.
Yeah, definitely, George. So thanks, man. Great. It's really good to hear your experience and your perspective on everything, and you make a compelling case. So what's how's your relationship with food changed since you've been fasting?
Yeah, I mean, I love. Let's start with cigarettes and alcohol. I've stopped cigarettes a year ago. I stopped alcohol 27th of December last year. Fasting really heals your addictions as well. I've got no interest of drinking any alcohol ever again. I've got no interest of smoking cigarettes again, and I eat very, very healthy. I'm very much like I might have a porridge in the morning. I might have quinoa, amaranth. I definitely love. I have 1.5 liters of smoothie every day. Obviously, when I'm not fasting, I buy everything organic. I try and cook from fresh, and I don't have any addictions. The only my guilty pleasure is perhaps is a bag of crisp, something like that. But in general, you lose all these addictions over time, and that's what fasting does. It's a miracle medicine, and I don't have any, I don't have desire for junk food like I used to. I will go out and eat every now and then because I want to go out and have, I may go to the Indian restaurant, have a lovely chickpea curry, chickpea and pilau rice. It's obviously not organic, but it's nice to go and eat. But generally, you'll see those addictions get less and less and less and less, and you have more control of what you put in your body.
That's brilliant, man. Yeah, really, really great stuff there. And I mean, I've never fasted. I've done intermittent fasting, like gone like maybe 15 hours without food or something. But I have recently actually been, I cut caffeine out of my system recently for a little while, for like a couple of weeks. And then I did the same with sugar. And I definitely felt, even after the first few days, like my dependence upon it became less and less of an issue mentally. So I could feel this kind of switch in me, like, actually, I don't. So instead of having chocolate, for instance, I love chocolate, right? Instead of having chocolate, I eat good quality organic chocolate, but I was having yogurt with cacao, honey, and bee pollen. And it was amazing the difference that it actually did to my body. So it actually felt like it was nourishing me rather than, just kind of artificially energizing me, and then I had this dip. So it's not fasting, but it's interesting when you switch something up in your diet, whatever that is, and you're open and observant, you can actually feel a beneficial change happen. So I just kind of wanted to add that, because I think some people might be listening to this going, there's no way I can fast. I love food too much. But I think, like, from your experience, what I'm getting is like you can probably develop a healthier respect for food through fasting. So I think that's important. Yeah, from my perspective as someone that's never done it, I can see,
Yeah,
that there is a benefit to it, just even if it's just a psychological one of respect towards food, right?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I mean, intermittent fasting is great. If you've done that, it is really good intermittent fasting. I do that occasionally. 15 hours without food is really, really good. And you could capitalize on that in a way that you can just keep extending it to 16, to 17 and 18 each day. And before you know it, you would have done a day.
Yeah.
And it's also important to remember that when you go to sleep, for example, 10 o'clock at night, and you get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you have done a 10 hours hard dry fast already.
Yeah.
And that's why they call it a break fast. You're breaking your fast. And what you could do is you could extend that to 9 o'clock, and then the next day you could extend that to 10 o'clock and just increase that way. And it gets easier and easier, and the body's like, oh, this is nothing. But when people hear people say, oh, I've just done a 15-day water fast like I did earlier this year, it really puts people off, because it's like sitting down and having a big, massive meal. If you're not hungry, it's just going to put you off. The way to do this is incrementally do it. And when you mastered that, you'd want to put more decent things in your body. And you'll feel the energy different. I mean, I'd stopped sugar, I think, about 6 years ago. Myself, it's one of the worst, biggest addictions, as you know, in the food industry. But that's why they put it there. That's why they put it there, to have you addicted. But once you beat that addiction, there's nothing that you can't really conquer, because that's one of the worst addictions to have. But you'll be proud of yourself. You'll be proud of yourself for kicking these things, but these things have to be there to teach us the lesson. And so we don't want to do that. We don't want to have that. We don't want to consume this, So everything that they sell in the food industry and these corporations have a benefit for us, because it's making us stronger by abstaining from that, from these kind of things. It's there to grow, make us grow and evolve and beat these addictions, and we have to do it slowly. You don't want to say, I've got to drink, I've got to give up alcohol, I've got to give up cigarettes, I need to do it all in one go. You're just going to put pressure on yourself, and then the ego mind will just think of excuses to go back to it. You just got to do it slowly and tame yourself. But yeah, I'm impressed you've done the intermittent fasting, because it's really good.
Yeah, and it's not actually that hard. The one thing I realized was so I did it by, I think I went to bed at like 10, woke up at 6 or 7, and then I didn't eat until, I think it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd obviously had a meal in the previous evening. So I went, I had 8 hours of sleep, but then I did 7 or 8 hours of just not eating. And once you start your day and you get busy, it's like you distract yourself. You forget, just even for that bit. So,
yeah,
because you know how much I love food. I mean, anyway, that was really empowering just to know that you can, just through changing your mindset, you can change a lot. So, yeah, George, thanks so much. That was a really good insight into fasting. And I think further down the line, we can either do another one that may go deeper into it, or we can discuss something else that you're kind of passionate about. In fact, I think maybe medicinal or plant medicine would be a kind of next thing to talk about. So yeah, if you're up for that, it'd be really good. So any last thoughts? Anything you want to leave the viewers with?
Yeah, and we can do that plant medicine, no problem. So, and yeah, the only thing I would say to people is, whatever fasting that you do, for example, water fast, make sure it's good, clean water. You don't really want to be drinking bottled water. You want a distilled. You want a distiller. You want a Berkey, something really, really good, and just fast on that. If you're going to do something like an orange juice fast, try and get organic or oranges and juice them. And you could do a smoothie fast if you just want to. If you feel like you can't do a water fast, you can do just smoothies for a week and see how you go. But obviously, start off with 1 day, 2 days, and then build yourself up that way. But whatever you do, just be sensible. And always ask for advice. Always ask me for advice. I'm always here to help people. I know it's possible. I know it's doable. I'm very sensible with what I do. Let's all, continue to grow food, healthy food, and fast and be as healthy as we can, and just take all of our power back, not just some of it, just all of it, so we can flourish mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually into this world, and build communities with that.
Cool, man. Thanks so much. So yeah, I mean, this was podcast 8 or potentially podcast 9. I can't remember now. But it was really good to kind of get this flip side on food. I think it's incredibly powerful, and I've certainly been educated because I've heard some of this before, but I kind of like this changing in the blood and regenerating the cells. I think there's a lot of weight to that. So thanks very much, George. I hope everyone else kind of got something from this. We'll be carrying on this mini series. I think it's really cool, and I'd like to expand it even more, actually. And yeah, see where it takes us. So yeah, thanks, George, and we'll obviously catch you guys on another one. We'll put all the information, so my website, George's website, links to our YouTube channels. Also, just to mention, George is actually going to be interviewing someone he had a great experience with in Mexico that he met. I'm not sure what that's going to be about, but obviously look out. That will probably be posted on our joint channel, the Quiet Sun team. And yeah, it's been a blast. So thanks very much, George. And I'll be talking to you soon, I'm sure.
Cheers, John. Much appreciated. Yeah, I love these podcasts, and we'll catch everybody on the next one.
Brilliant. All right, man. Take care of yourself.
Cheers. Take care. Thanks.
See you later, everybody.
Pond 5.